popcorn. They pop culture. It's the Lowdown with Shane and Elliot.
What is up, everyone? Welcome to the latest installment of the Lowdown Podcast. I am the voice of PCW, Elliot Popston. Alongside of me is the founder of the hottest wrestling promotion in the Mid-Atlantic. He is the host of the Shane event. He can sell ice to an Eskimo. New York's greatest export, Shane Tor. Shane, what's up, man?
Oh, man. What's going on, Elliot? I'm feeling I'm amped now that you introduced that, with knowing who our guest is. So that's perfect.
Well,
well done.
Well, for the past couple of weeks, you said, "Hey, I need an intro like them, Elliot. I need an intro like them." So there you go. But
perfect.
No better intro than the man we have coming up. He is the owner and CEO at Revival Events Group. He is the owner and CEO at Revival South Apparel Company. He is the owner and founder of Southern Honor Wrestling. He is the founder and owner at Barbecue and Brews Festival, part of the Revival Events Group. He is the lead pastor of Action Church. This guy puts the word entrepreneur in the word entrepreneur. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Gary Lamb.
Awesome. Can we add to that intro the owner of the best wrestling promotion in the Southeast, including the Mid-Atlantic, Southern Honor Wrestling?
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's Gary Lamb.
Felt like that was a jab right from the beginning, and now I'm pissed off and ready to go.
Let's go. Man, what's going on, Gary?
Oh, man, nothing much. Been a crazy day. I'm excited about being here. I thought I was supposed to be on here last night, so I started pimping it and promoting it yesterday, and Elliot told me I was wrong, so I had to get my calendar straight and ran around all day today and excited to be here and looking forward to talking with you guys.
Oh, man, I know I appreciate it. I'm ecstatic.
I'm a little jealous of your setup personally, but baby steps.
Well, I don't know how to work anything in here, so don't be too jealous of it. It looks shiny and bright, and it's awesome. But I've had this stuff for a year and a half, and this is the first time I've ever used it in a live setting. So it just looks good. Fake it till you make it, baby.
Well, I think the cool thing is, in case you haven't noticed, you might prefer it this way, but we don't script anything. We have no sheets. We have no notes. We don't have anything. We just shoot it, baby.
I have my computer in front of me just to make sure nothing goes kaput.
Well, let's go, man. Every podcast I'm on, I tell people, sometimes the interviewers will say, "Do you want to know what we're going to talk about?" And I always tell them, I don't want to know what we're going to talk about. Let's just free flow and get to the lowdown.
It's a conversation. See that? See?
Hashtag.
Perfect. So fill us in, man. So tell us, Southern Honor Wrestling. How'd that come? How'd that come to pass?
Southern Honor Wrestling started, like most people who grew up in the South. I grew up watching wrestling. TBS at 605. Was a huge wrestling fan, probably through right at the end of the Attitude Era. That's about the time that I was in my mid-20s and walked away from wrestling and never thought about wrestling again. Never watched wrestling. Could not have told you anything about wrestling. Then I started to have children, and my first son came along, and he had no interest in wrestling, so never thought about wrestling. My second son, my youngest son, came along, and about 4 years ago when he was 7, he got really into wrestling. And he heard about a wrestling promotion that was local and wanted to go watch a show there. And I went to watch a show. I had never been to an independent wrestling show in my life, so knew nothing about what independent wrestling was, knew nothing about the type of performers they bring into independent wrestling. I just expected everything to be WCW Nitro or Monday Night Raw. Showed up at an old elementary school gym with 100 toothless rednecks, and I watched the most worthless, shittiest wrestling I had ever seen in my life. And went back a month later to take my son again. And literally, if I would have had a gun, I would have blew my brains out. And I came home and told my wife, I said, I can't do this. I can't take him to this. He loves it. He's excited. and I would do anything for my son, but as Meatloaf said, but I won't do that. And I can't take him to another show. It's horrible. And she said, what are you going to do? And I said, well, I remember exactly what I told her. I said, well, these inbreds are running a wrestling show. It can't be that hard. So I'm going to start a wrestling promotion. And she said, how are you going to start a wrestling promotion? I said, I don't know. I'm going to start a wrestling promotion. I'm really good friends with Rich Ward. If you don't know who Rich Ward is the guitar player for Fozzy. He owns Fozzy with a guy named Chris Jericho.
Never heard of him.
I told Rich what I was planning on doing. And he told me, he said, man, you've got to meet this young kid that works for Dallas Page. And he's a video guy, and he's wanting to start a wrestling show here in Georgia. And so I met Dylan Freimeyer. We instantly hit it off. I told him what I envisioned. I told him I envisioned exactly what you see on television, but on a local level. Now, you got to remember, I own a 32,000 square foot building, or I lease a 32,000 square foot building that probably has $250,000 worth of lights, video, sound, easily hold 1,000 people. And so I had all that, and I put on events for a living, so I knew how to promote. Dylan and I agreed to start Southern Honor Wrestling, and the rest is history. Dylan handles everything that happens in the ring and backstage, and I handle everything that happens on the other side of the wall. I do all the promoting. I do all the business. I do all the setup as far as the fans go. We're coming up. October will be our 4-year anniversary. And so, not that these really mean, I mean, I guess they do mean something because they mean something to me, but we've won Promotion of the Year every year we've been in existence. I've won Promoter of the Year. Dylan's won Booker of the Year 2 times. We broke the Georgia record in attendance with 1,067 people at one of our shows. We constantly run about 500 people in attendance. Several of the guys who were with us have now went on to the next level. Austin Theory, Alan Angels, Cody Vance. We've had people show up at our show unexpected, just show up. David Arquette showed up. Scott Hall has showed up. Dallas Page has showed up. Kenny Omega, Chris Jericho. And Southern Honor has just become kind of its own thing. That's incredible. People literally start camping out for tickets at our building at about noon. They start tailgating about 2:00. And it really is something to behold. It's just created this little niche thing. They say the riches are in the niches. And we have definitely hit that niche of wrestling fan who was dying and craving for something that was a little bit different than two hillbillies in overalls in a gym wrestling in front of 25 people.
You touched on an interesting point. Or you touched on many interesting things, but the one thing that I remember, it was around the incarnation of AEW, or when it just started, and I swear the internet broke with the videos from your event. I can't remember the name of the event, but you'll be able to talk about it. But I remember seeing a video of Chris Jericho showing up, and then lights going out, coming back up, and Kenny Omega. And I swear to God, man, I don't. There's not many things that give me like that hair raising, chilly goosebump feeling, but seeing that did, and seeing it on the local level did it even more so. So walk us through that and tell us how that even came to pass, because that's one of the most interesting things I've ever seen.
So we had our first show in October. That May, AEW was about to start. They knew they were going into the AEW beginning with Omega and Jericho in a feud. They owned no footage of Jericho and Omega. They had nothing that they could show to hype it. They had nothing they could do to promote it. Interesting enough, Chris is in a band called Fozzy, and all the guys in Fozzy, except for Chris, live in Canton. That's the town that I'm located in. And Rich Ward, who I said owns Fozzy with him, goes to the church I pastor. He runs sound for us. Fozzy keeps all their equipment in the building. They rehearse before they go on tour at our building. All their inventory is in our building. So we've known Chris for a few years now. We'd brought Chris in. I have actually hosted the last 2 Atlanta tour dates for Fozzy, have been in our building. We did a big Artemis Pyle tribute show. The drummer for Leonard Skinner, Chris, came in and sang with Artemis Pyle for that. and they needed footage. And so they had this idea. I don't know if it was Tony, Cody, who it was, had this idea of everybody in the promotion kind of invading indie promotions. And Chris's thing was, well, if we're going to do it, I'm going to Southern Honor. And so he called me. He ran the idea by me. And obviously we said yes. And then the curveballs came. We never could get a definite on whether it was going to happen. We think it's going to be this time. We think it's going to be this time. Hey, can this work out? Can this not work out? So I finally had enough. So in April, at our April show, I stood up in our ring and I just told our crowd, I said, next month, we're going to have 1,000 people. And I said, we're going to deliver. We didn't know if Chris was going to be there. And so at this time, there had been no talk of Kenny Omega coming. And Chris was just going to come and do whatever Chris wanted to do. But Chris, you need to understand, takes it very, very serious, his surprise appearances. I mean, he did it at the first AEW. Before it was AEW, I can't remember what the event was called. What was it called? All or Nothing, Double or Nothing, All or Nothing.
His first appearance was the announcing of the company.
But he also did, what was the pay-per-view that was before there was actually AEW?
All In.
So remember, he was there, and his appearances at WWE that no one, even the wrestlers, knew when he was coming back. So he takes it very serious. So he would never commit. It was always, I think I'm going to be there if my flight works out. And man, if this isn't going on and this isn't going on, it got so intense actually that Cody began to feel the pressure. And about 10 days before said, hey, I'm going to come to the show since you guys are going to break 1,000. And I'm just going to thank the fans and push AEW because and we were able to promote Cody. And then about 6 days out, rumors began to swirl. Chris began to ask questions about what could we do with Kenny? And we finally said, we'll do whatever you want us to do. And even the day of, we didn't know if we knew by then that Chris was coming. We didn't know what Chris was going to do. We didn't know what was going to happen. And we had no idea if Kenny was coming. He had been brought up twice, but we weren't really sure. And then right before the show shows up, you have to see how our building's laid. I have an office on the other side of the building. Chris texts me, says, let me into your office. I don't want anyone to know I'm there. And so I walk into the office, and there's Kenny and there's Chris. He tells me how things are going to go down. He's going to come interfere into the match. I was to walk Kenny around the building. And then I'll be honest with you, because again, here's something you might find surprising. I said this earlier in the first segment we did, but I'm not a huge wrestling fan. And so I'm a bigger wrestling fan today than I was, but I'm this sounds weird for someone who owns a wrestling promotion. I knew who Kenny Omega was. I didn't think Canton, Georgia would know who Kenny Omega was. So I was actually really nervous. I thought, man, Chris is going to come out. They're going to lose their minds. Then the lights are going to go out and Omega's music's going to hit and nobody's going to know who Kenny Omega is. I'm like 10% of the people are going to know who Kenny Omega is. And so Chris does this thing. I get Omega around the outside of the building. We come through the front door. It's totally black. And when I tell you his video hit in 2 seconds in, it is so deafening. This is not an exaggeration. It's the only time in my life that I could feel this, like it was so loud, it was moving the hairs on my arm. They were waving from the sound waves of people being so loud. I've never heard any. So needless to say, Canton, Georgia knew who Kenny Omega was. The promoter of the promotion did not really know who he was. And they got in the ring, and it's one of the few things that I go back and watch the video of all the time. I don't know if you've ever seen the documentary we put out called Hold Your Fork. We put a documentary out at our 3-year anniversary. You can catch that on YouTube about how Southern Honor was started. And it's actually been in several movie festivals and got a lot of critical acclaim. Our guys are really good. A lot of our guys work for AEW, our video guys, and they work for DDP Yoga or DDPY. So you can go back there and watch it on that, or you can just go Google it on YouTube. It's a pretty amazing reaction. And we had 1,067 people in the building that day. And I'm very proud of that because, again, we couldn't announce that Chris was going to be there. We couldn't announce that Omega was going to be there. I just cashed in every favor I had. And we had over 1,000 people at that show. And that's how they ended up at the show.
I think thinking about you're not expecting that kind of reaction. But the fact is, it's Kenny Omega at this point in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
He's just coming to the States from Japan, signed with AEW.
Right.
So this initial appearance, so to speak, the people knew, and it's something special for sure. So definitely
Big deal.
You can go watch the video on YouTube and it's deafening, even on the video on YouTube. And it's one of those moments. I'm in the event business, and it's one of those moments that I will never, ever forget in my life.
Gary, I have Palmetto Championship Wrestling in Columbia, South Carolina, and me as promoter and an owner or whatever you want to call me, I have watched that video countless times just because something you may not know, and I kind of divulged on another podcast that we did, another episode, but you personally, we've never met. We've never really conversed. We've done a little back and forth. I coined a little phrase called #lambasting. I'm proud of that. That's what when Gary Lamb insults you, you call it a lamb based. That's it. Market it. But me,
Did I insult you?
no, never.
Oh, good. I was going to apologize. Not really. I told you no.
Never. But I'm just saying, me as a promoter, I shifted everything. Mindset, focus, the amount of effort, the way I do things, why I do things, because of you. I watch what you do from afar. I'm 4 hours away, but everything you do put out and your company puts out, and from your graphics, from your talent, from your the way you promote and when you promote, and I admire it in all facets.
Well, I appreciate that. Southern Honor's been fun. I think the fact that I wasn't in the wrestling business, I didn't come up in the wrestling business, it helped us a lot. I didn't know a lot of the unwritten rules. I didn't know that you weren't supposed to come to a town where another promotion was. I didn't know that you weren't supposed to call out that promotion. I thought everything in wrestling was fake and it was about doing whatever you wanted to do. And in the process, man, I pissed off a lot of people. And to the point that had promoters showing up at our show ready to literally have fistfights with me. And my father-in-law pulling a gun and putting it to another promoter's head at a show one time. And we've had some crazy shit happen because of my mouth. But I think it served us well. I needed us to be noticed. And being the redneck outsider to come in and not know the rules and just do whatever we wanted to do really paid off. And I remember listening to Lane Kiffin one time. I don't know if you guys are football fans at all.
Yeah.
But Lane, when he was at Tennessee, and they asked him after he left, they were like, why were you so controversial? Why were you so going after people? And he said, I just needed us to get noticed. And whatever it took for us to get noticed was what I was willing to do. And that was kind of us. Dylan grew up around wrestling. He knew all the rules. He knew all the way things are supposed to be. And we had a lot of discussions because it was putting him in a weird position. Because here's the deal. I didn't give a shit if wrestlers liked me. And I didn't give a shit if other promoters liked me because my life's not built around wrestling. So they weren't going to be able to blackball me. I had no goals to move up and do anything. But it was putting Dylan in some weird situations. But I think when he saw the results and he saw people showing up, it really changed to where he began to trust me. We actually go into a lot of that in the documentary called Hold Your Fort. And Dylan breaks that down. It made some very uncomfortable situations for Dylan. It made uncomfortable situations for a lot of our wrestlers because the promoters knew they couldn't get to me. So they literally took out their frustration with me on other promoters. But we just decided we were going to do the best that we could and that the fans of Canton deserved the best show we could do. And we're just blessed with Dylan's talent, our building, and my ability to promote that our best is just a lot better than a lot of people. And so it is what it is.
Let's just also say if Gary did know the rules, he'd be like, oh, F that. And he'd do it anyway.
Yeah, I don't really care.
Gary doesn't follow rules.
That's why I do my own thing. That's why I don't work for anybody. I've never had a real job. So this is all I know is just doing whatever I can to hustle and scrape and fight to provide for my family. And so if it comes to my family eating because people come because I started up, or a promoter across town getting his feelings hurt, then the promoter across town gets his feelings hurt. It is what it is. we had a promotion here in town called Georgia Premier Wrestling, and I told them we'd put them out of business. And I know it sounds like an asshole thing, but we put them out of business, and I gloated over them going out of business because it just is what it is.
Well, let's just also say too, if you have thin skin in the world of professional wrestling, you're in the wrong business.
If you have thin skin in anything nowadays, you're in the wrong business.
True.
Like, there's not a day that goes by we don't get somebody cussing us out through our page or something. One ear and out the other. It's wrestling.
That's right. I love the world of professional wrestling, man. So Palmetto Championship Wrestling. It's so weird hearing how you went to another show. So PCW in Columbia started as I went to a show as a fan, watched a company that's been prominent in the area for years and years. Afterwards I said, wow, I can do that better. Like not necessarily the wrestling thing, but as somebody that's been in retail and sales and customer facing situations my whole life, I was like, okay, I can do something better than them. And and here we are. So now we are one of the largest companies in South Carolina.
That's awesome.
We're proud of what we've done, and it's been so organic.
Yeah, I think people that have worked outside, I have nothing but respect for the lifers. But I do think the lifers are tied down to this notion in their head of these rules that don't really matter, or the way things have always been done. But someone who comes from a retail experience, or for me, a promoting experience, or a putting on events experience, an organization experience, we're able to add something to it and take what these guys are doing in their backyard and put a spin on it and actually make money at doing it.
Yeah, my big thing was, all right, I wanted to treat the boys better. I wanted to treat the people that make the company better. That was a big thing of mine, and that's something I still hold dear to. I wanted to listen to the people that were supporting and growing our company, because these were things that were, and I wanted to promote better. I wanted to be able to organically and just outsourcing attract more people than what they were doing. I just wanted to be better in all facets of the game. So that's where I was saying I learned from you.
For us, I had no idea how poorly wrestlers were paid.
Horrible.
Like, I had no idea they literally sometimes get paid $20 in a hot dog. And so from day one, we set the standard on what they were going to get paid. From day one, we told them, listen, we're going to pay you this, but not only we're going to pay you this, we're going to bring in professional photographers. Every show, you're going to have access to all these images. And we're going to bring in a professional video crew. When you come out, there's going to be the smallest show we've ever had was our first show. It was 274 people. We've never been below 300 sets. And so normally we're over 400. A lot of times we're over 500. We go into spurts where we hit a stride around 600. So they're not used to that. I said, you're going to come out with video entrances and lights and the fans, man, we give them a great experience. And I'm really good at creating what I like to call community. I build tribes. And we have created a community around that. My buddy, he says, I just watch you. You're a connector. I connect people. I'm that weird guy that can meet you and 7 years later tell you where I met you and what you do for a living and what you told me 7 years ago. And so that works in my favor when I'm walking around, I'm shaking hands and I'm kissing babies. And I never stop. I never go backstage. I'm probably backstage at our shows 3 minutes. That's it. I'm out in the crowd every show. The preacher in me, when the show's over, I'm at the back door. I shake hands of every single person who comes to our show. I thank them for coming to our show. I go out there and take waters to those that are sitting in the heat starting at noon. And our people just love on our fans, and we make those fans feel like there's somebody. And I want to be careful how I word this. We're the last city that's considered Metro Atlanta. So if you were to look at Metro Atlanta and go straight up north, so right before us, you're in the mountains. And we get some people that I realize that our wrestling show is their vacation. Like, they don't go to Florida. They don't go to the beach. They bring their family to our show, and sometimes their kids don't even have shoes on their feet. And they've been marginalized. And They might not be the most educated. They're not by what the world standards would say are successful people. And they get to come into our show, and for 3 hours, they get to escape that reality, and they get to feel like kings of the world. And the promoter remembers them, and my staff remembers them, and they remember what chairs they like to be set in, and they put them in that section. And we've done a great job of lifting up this marginalized population that is your wrestling fan, which is our wrestling fan because of our close proximity to the mountains and that kind of Appalachia culture.
Yeah, that's one thing that I've always kind of prided myself on, is trying to meet people where they are.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
You know, I mean, that's all I can do, you know. And I was going to say, you know, your ability to build community, build tribes, like you said, you know, that I'm sure that's become something that's very beneficial for you as the leader of your church as well. And
people have a desire to be part of something bigger than themselves. Absolutely. And so as funny as it sounds, like in the wrestling world, wrestling fans in most small towns, especially independent wrestling fans, the wrestling show was never the cool thing to be at in any town. In Canton, Georgia, the first Friday of the month, Southern Honor's the cool thing to be at. Like, I can't tell you how many people come to our show just because it's the thing to be at. They're not even wrestling fans.
That's the best fans.
It's just that's where you come, because that's where there's 600 people. If there's nowhere else in town that has 600 people hanging out and doing life together and enjoying themselves. And so now the ones that are wrestling fans, I feel like there's somebody, because they're at that sounds so cheesy. I feel like I'm in middle school by saying this, but they feel like they're at the cool place now. They get to sit at the cool table for a little while, and it's paid off very well.
No, there's nothing wrong with that. So obviously you found unmatched success in Georgia, Canton, Georgia specifically. I have to ask you, do you have any plans of expanding, or have you thought of it? Has it been a topic? Do you consider it? Spill the beans.
So there was a lot of talk about it in the early days. The reality is I stay so busy with my events. It's weird. You can put on a good wrestling show. The reality is it's still a $12 ticket. It's still a $15 ticket. The margins are not that well. I'm not going to sit here and pour mouth. I make money off wrestling, but I'm not making a ton of money. If I'm putting on a festival, I'm making 2% of what I would make at a festival. Or if I'm putting on a concert, I'm making 10% of what I would make doing a concert. Wrestling, I do it because my son loves it. So we talked about it early on. Then Dylan ended up doing a lot of video. He does a lot of the production for AEW. Our schedules got crazy. But we had plans for a world tour this year. And I started hyping that, and we had some dates lined up. And in order for something like that to happen, every date has to go great, because you've got to be able to. You can't make money with one date. Sure. You've got to have several dates. It's kind of like a rock band touring. And a couple of those deals fell through. Venue closed. One of the people who was our contact at a place got replaced, and it didn't become economically viable. We still have some ideas. I wish I could tell you the idea I have, and maybe I'll tell you off air. So we have a pretty creative idea that we want to. We were looking at Anderson, South Carolina. We were looking at Chattanooga. We were looking at Macon, Georgia. We were looking at Birmingham, Alabama. So we had it set up where in about 5 weeks we were going to hit about 5 shows. And every time we attempt to do it, just something happens and the stars do not align. And it's still one of our pipe dream things, but the doors have just not opened. And I've definitely learned over the years that we want the doors to open, and we don't want to kick the doors open.
Sure. So South Carolina, I mean, I've been involved with the South Carolina wrestling scene since 2015. So, what's your thoughts on South Carolina? Like, do you have any? So I don't. So let me make this very clear. I don't have any thoughts other than stuff I've heard, and I had heard the commission was very difficult to work with. I had heard they're not accommodating to wrestling. So in Georgia, we're super blessed. So our commission's philosophy is this: we don't give two shits about wrestling.
And if we hear about wrestling, there's an issue and we don't want to hear about it. So as long as we don't hear about it, we don't care. And so it's great to work with. Send your $50 in. I think it's $50 a year. Send your $50 in every January for our promoter's license. And there's literally probably 5 of us that actually do that in the state of Georgia. And I had heard horror stories. And again, I don't know if they're true. I'd heard that it's hard to do certain things. I heard no blood. I heard maybe even that the wrestlers had to be licensed. I can't remember all the stuff I've heard because I've dealt with so many different states. But it kind of had made us leery dealing with the commission there. But from what I'm hearing from you guys, that might not be the case.
I'll clear the air on South Carolina Athletic Commission. The only problem with the Athletic Commission is that their head, the leader of the Athletic Commission, seems to change on a yearly basis, or twice a year. I mean, so here's what I love about the South Carolina Athletic Commission, or commissions in general. So I love the fact that it prevents Joe Schmo from setting up a ring in EBF and putting on a wrestling show, actually attracting a crowd to this said wrestling show, and then making that wrestling fan think that's what professional wrestling is.
Right. And we had that in Georgia, obviously. I mean, every weekend there's 20 shows running. Some of them run literally 15, 20 people. They're horrible. They're dangerous. They shouldn't be allowed to run. So our commission probably should have a little more emphasis on that.
In South Carolina, it's for a promoter. It's $150 a year for a promoter, $150. Each wrestler's $50 for a license, and
announcers $50.
Yeah, everybody that's involved with the show is $50 a year, but that's for this whole state. And then a gate fee is 5% of your gate.
Yeah, so we have none of that. So we have our promoter's license, $50 a year, and that's it. And like I said, probably. And I'm not saying this to be funny. I bet there's 5 of us in the state of Georgia that actually have our promoter's license. And so Woodruff's philosophy is out of sight, out of mind. I don't want to hear about it. And if I hear about it, there's going to be a problem.
Yeah, our first show this year, commission showed up. I was like, all right, I need to see everyone's license.
Oh, yeah, because they were new.
Yeah,
because they were new. That's all it was. And they haven't been back since.
No,
they don't. They don't ever come.
Yeah, so I'm in the process now of launching a fight league, an MMA promotion.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
Oh man, that is so many hoops to jump through. You actually can't even hold an event without a commission board member in attendance, and you're charged. I think it's $2,500 per show. And
now, that would change my opinion on things a little bit.
Yeah. But I also understand, but you're talking $50 tickets, and you're talking 5 to 6, 7, 800 people, no matter what you do. And so you've got to have certified judges and medics. And so, I mean, there's a lot of costs that 2,500 covers. But the reality is, I mean, you're making 10 times, 15 times more than you're making at a wrestling show. So you're gladly giving the 2,500 a show over.
Well, I will say, going to your invasion idea, you have, so when I think of successful professional wrestling companies in the Southeast, not talking about Florida, I'm talking about like North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia. Those are my 3 that I really tend to focus on. I think of Southern Honor in Georgia. I think of Viral in Georgia. I think of PWX, no longer around actually in North Carolina.
Yeah, are they not around anymore?
So, they're heavily involved with the owners are heavily involved with New Japan.
Yes.
So they've just chosen to, for the time being, focus on New Japan while they evaluate if it's worth opening.
PWX would outdraw New Japan.
Say that again.
I would assume in the Carolinas that PWX would outdraw New Japan.
Yeah, well, it's just one of those things, man. I mean, like,
New Japan.
Well, New Japan's running monthly now in Charlotte, so
they have.
Oh, really? So they ran the same night we ran about a year ago, and we outran them. We outdrew them.
So I've noticed that
in Georgia, they were running in Georgia.
New Japan.
Yeah, they were running literally 30 minutes down the road at the Brave Stadium, and we outdrew them by about 175 people.
And if you also wonder if maybe that New Japan partnership with AEW has something to do with it. Who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows? But all I know is I say it again.
Brian is the PWX
Brian
guy?
and Brian and Patrick.
Yeah, I know Brian. I know Brian through Facebook. We've had several phone calls. I knew I hadn't heard a lot about them, but I wasn't sure if they'd actually shut down or what the deal was. I know they lost, and they had like some little building they did training in, and they lost it or something.
They were. I don't know the exact details of it, but they were running at the Appeara Arena. They called it the PWX Appeara Arena, and it was a really nice facility. But of course, they had their regular shows that they were renting out. They were renting out their venues, but I think I've talked to Brian recently. It's just they have priorities right now, and I hate it for the boys and the gals that were so reliant on PWX because it was a nice payday for them. But I get why. I can understand why.
Yeah, Brian should sell that name off. I would assume someone would come along and buy it.
Never know. But so going back to what I was alluding to. So when I think of professional wrestling in North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, I think of Southern Honor and Viral. Those are the two that come to mind. In North Carolina, I think of PWX now, but now heavily emphasis on AML.
Yeah, AML was one of the first things when we started Southern Honor, and I began to Google local wrestling promotions and looking at their websites and looking at different things. AML was the one that caught my attention immediately. And I've become friends with Tracy. I don't want friends is a loose term, but acquaintances with Tracy. We've communicated and talked quite a bit, and just a super, super, super sharp guy.
Absolutely, he was actually one of our previous guests, and so he's somebody that we both look up to in many different ways. From a promoter standpoint, from a father standpoint, and a husband standpoint. He's an awesome individual. So AML is big, and then South Carolina. I obviously. Palmetto Championship Wrestling, and then Turbo, and there's a couple others too that are rather prominent. So, the
only one I've ever heard of, to be honest with you, is Palmetto. So I've never heard of Turbo or any of those guys. So,
hey,
you guys, cat's meow over there.
Well, awesome. I appreciate that. But
isn't there something that Owen Knight had? It was like the Soda City Championship. Is that you guys? Okay, so there you go. So that shows you what I know about South Carolina.
So, that is probably one of my most favorite.
I love the Soda City belt,
just in its totality. So the Soda City is actually the nickname for Columbia, which is our capital city of the state. And then obviously everybody calls it Cola for short. Soda City. That's how they got its kind of colloquial nickname.
Okay.
And then a guy I know that used to be a part of the company actually designed that belt, and we sent it off to our people in Sialkot and Pakistan, and they designed the belt, but it's actually got the backdrop of Columbia actually engraved into the belt, which makes it even more special.
That's very cool. Very cool.
What else we got for?
I could just
Gary?
sit here and listen to you two talk back and forth. I enjoy it.
So going to Invasion. So Gary, I would love to actually, and it's been a topic of conversation, and this would be I guess a little hint, for those listeners. But I would love to sit down and talk to you and Tracy and one or two other people and really see what we could do collectively. Maybe, if you catch what I'm.
Yeah, I think some cool stuff can be done. I think now with the access of social media, organizations like IWTV, I'm not a huge fan. We're on there, but YouTube, different things. Wrestling fans. So wrestling's the first thing that I've ever done that you always hear Gary Vaynerchuk talk about the riches are in the niches. And wrestling's the first thing I've ever done that I understand that principle. So I can tell 100 people that I own a wrestling promotion and one person's going to be into wrestling. One person. But that one person knows every motherfucker in the world who's a wrestling fan. And so wrestling is a small community if you're into wrestling. And I think you could do some cool stuff through different promotions. And I think now with the power of video, I think it's one of the things we've been able to do so well with Dylan is we can tell stories because we have Dylan making these incredible videos that are showing up on Facebook. It's relative because at the end of the day, we're in Canton, Georgia, and we're Southern Honor Wrestling. It's not that big of a deal, but we make stars or we don't make stars. And we've had a couple of times where guys have had attitudes with us and think they that we couldn't live without them, and we've cut them and got rid of them. And instantly through Dylan's videos, the guys that we bring in to replace them are stars because we've done such a good job of communicating who they are and what they are and getting them an angle outside of the show. So I think there could be some cross promotion stuff that could be pretty cool.
Yeah, I pitched the idea several times, and it was like people don't even know how close it was happening. PWX and AML in North Carolina have always had this little like
beef.
Yeah,
Unnecessarily
healthy
had this
competition.
beef.
I would even.
Well, Brian loves a beef. So here's the thing. People think I love a beef. I really don't give two rips. It's wrestling to me. Like, it's funny. I'll be railing on Dave Manders of Southern Fried on Facebook, and literally the day of his show, sending him a text telling him, hope he kills it tonight. Finally, Georgia has learned that about me. I'm going to create a shitstorm on social media, but man, here's the deal. I'll give you the shirt off my back if I need to. Boy, Brian's a grudge holder. Woo! Man, I like him. I've always got along with him, but man, when he doesn't like someone, and he's always had a hard on for Viral, and he's always had a hard on for AML. And I don't know the stories behind
Oh, Lord, Ben. We don't have enough time in the day to listen to these stories. Now, granted, it's not just Brian. It's the other. It's Brian and Kitchens. It's not Brian.
Yes.
It's not Brian and Viral. Brian, I don't think Brian has an issue with Viral.
Yeah, it's Kitchens.
So it's Kitchens.
Boy, Kitchens can piss some people off.
Man,
I love the guy.
I love James Kitchens, but bro,
yeah, it's weird. I've literally never had one issue with him, and we couldn't be any different. We talk all the time through text, direct message.
We are politically different, polar opposites, right?
Polar
but
opposites.
Man, we can find common ground with everybody, right? That's the difference.
And
what makes successful
Viral's
people
going to suffer without Kitchens there, to be honest with you, because he was the booker, but like it or not, he was the promoter.
Yeah.
So like, I don't remember what happened. I don't even think Kitchens had anything to do with it, but I remember like, I think it might have been William Cubits, who's a fan, but like Brian was running a show in Gastonia or Charlotte, North Carolina. And then all of a sudden there was these blip billboards that were like.
So that's what I knew. I knew something about billboards.
And all of a sudden you see a blip billboard for a Viral show outside of his venue in North Carolina, which.
Well, that seems smart to me.
Well, we can understand it, right? But like,
right.
But at the same time, I can understand why he was pissed off.
So did you ever hear the story of what put us on the map?
No, I want to. That's what I want to hear.
So as far as pissing everyone off in Georgia. So in our town was a group called Georgia Premier Wrestling. And when we started, I was on GoDaddy one time and was like, GeorgiaPremierWrestling.com, and realized they didn't own their URL.
Oh, no.
I bought the URL.
I knew it.
When you went GeorgiaPremierWrestling.com, it went to Southern Honor's page. And,
this is amazing.
People lost their mind. Like, it was the worst thing ever.
No.
And I thought it was the greatest thing ever. First of all, if you're so effing stupid that you don't own your URL, that's on you. And
smells like smart business to me.
Yeah, it was great. That's what got us on the map of all the promoters, man. People were furious with us.
And then suddenly you saw all these wrestling URLs getting bought. He ain't buying mine.
So and I tried to buy all of them after that.
So secret, Gary owns like 13 different URLs.
Gary owns about 90 URLs. My wife says I have a URL addiction. And so I own way too many URLs, but a lot of wrestling ones.
In all actuality, though, think about it. That is probably one of the most brilliant and cheapest things you could do.
It was so great.
Oh, my God.
They were so dumb. It didn't even mention Georgia Premier Wrestling once you went to the website. Went to our website. Well, they get on their Facebook page that, believe it or not, had 7,000 or 8,000 people following it, which was pretty good for this little promotion. And they're like, they call us out on it. And then they're like, don't click on GeorgiaPremierWrestling.com. And when they do that, it shows the thumbnail of Southern Honor. And they just post it. So all over their page was our logo posted, and people were buying tickets right and left.
That's awesome.
Because and then they were out of business about 5 months later.
I can't say I
Wouldn't do the same thing.
I can't say I wouldn't do the same thing. I wouldn't even thought of it. I'm not that even. That's taking notes. You're gonna start seeing these URLs purchased tonight by Shane. Whoops.
That's right.
So
what is Brian?
Yes.
Let's leave the name of it.
No, it's okay. We're not saying nothing
What is
bad.
PWX's beef with AML? Because how could you not, like, I just can't picture Tracy being a real confrontational person, and definitely not a shit stirrer. He seems like the nicest human being in the world.
Yeah, I don't even know the specifics of that. I mean, it's something to do with.
Is it just that AML ran a huge crowd and made Brian mad?
I'm not even sure. I think I've heard once or twice like certain things, but I don't even know if it's truth or not. And
is it a territory thing or
it can't even be territorial because to me they're in Winston-Salem. And
so who is the guy? There's a guy that does a podcast that keeps up with South Carolina wrestling.
Heath Mulligan.
Oh, yeah. Well, does he still do his podcast?
Heath Mulligan's one of the nicest guys I've ever met.
Yeah, so I guess he has a Patreon or something.
Yeah, Heath Mulligan. He's a pastor as well.
Yeah, he talks about us all the time because I have this one guy who's a member who sends me clips all the time. He's a super nice guy, seems like.
Yeah, Heath Mulligan, man.
Heath and Boomer.
That's somebody I haven't seen in a while. But
the name of it.
What? Not 3 Count. He was involved in 3 Count, but I can't remember the name of his podcast. But man, if you ever get a chance to meet that guy, he's one of the
down for the count. No,
probably something with the count. But I'm gonna have to search it. But he's one of the nicest human beings I ever met. And he
did a whole breakdown of us doing our world tour. I thought was very. It's weird when you've never met someone and yet they know so much about your company and have so many thoughts and pick up on different things. And so I thought it was really cool all the stuff he knew.
Yeah, he used to do some. He had I guess a streaming subscription thing that him and Boomer, was it Boomer? That is his name.
Yeah, Boomer Payne
ran together to where you could subscribe, and they provided the shows streaming wise. You could go back and watch the shows. So 3 Count was on there, PCW was on there for a little while, and several others.
So we have Georgia wrestling history here. Do y'all have anything like that?
Well, you have a big person around us is Redbeard, which is Robert Truesdale on Facebook. But he goes to a pretty good bit of he does the Carolina Wrestling Awards and
okay, yeah. So we have that here, Larry Goodman and Platinum and so
that was a whole other world. Stephen Platinum is hilarious.
Yeah, I haven't listened to his show in so long I can't remember, but yes.
Oh my God! Over here in South Carolina, like we used to love hearing him and talk about like viral and like he was talking about. Oh, you talk about somebody that would piss some people off.
Yeah, he loves to hear himself talk.
Yeah, for sure.
Of course, don't we all?
The successful people love to hear themselves talk.
That's right. So, do you guys run monthly, bi-weekly? What do you guys do?
It's monthly.
Yeah.
Seems to be, we found our niches on Saturdays. We run we tried back toward the beginning of PCW, we did the bi-weekly thing. That's too much.
I just don't have a desire to. I don't have time for it.
And the thing is, you alienate people running too much. So we found the niche and the success was always in that once show a month kind of, after looking at the numbers and playing everything toward the beginning, we found what we were drawing in every 2 weeks. We were drawing that and then more once a month. So we just always stuck to the once a month schedule, and it's worked out good. And you're once a month, right?
We're once a month, yeah.
First Friday.
We're once a month, and then we were the first Friday of the month, and then right before COVID, we were fixing to do SCI, the Southern Cup Invitational, and that was going to be a 2-weekend thing, and that was just really to piss off the Scenic City guys. So that's the only reason we were doing that.
I think it'd be cool if you got involved with. Are you involved with WrestleCade?
No, but there has been some talks with the Tapped Out Wrestling Podcast guys this year about our champion. I heard something.
Showcase of Champions or whatever they call that.
Yeah. Like, I know that sounds funny. Like, I just don't know much about. I don't keep up with what goes on in wrestling, so I'm so busy. I keep up with I keep up with what goes on at Southern Honor, and that's about it. The weekend after Thanksgiving is one of my big weekends. I do this big, huge thing called the Holiday at the Mill. And so, but we have talked about our champion because I know someone from there reached out to us wanting to know if a certain individual was still going to be our champion.
Yeah.
And because they were trying to book that show out.
Yeah, that's WrestleCade's unbelievable.
Mm-hmm. They said it's amazing, and I would love to go. It's literally, if it was any other weekend, I would be there.
And that's my problem with even with my shoot career. Like that weekend is, I can't ever make it.
Yeah, it's. I put on about 70 events a year, and that's probably it's in the running for my first or second biggest event. It's my biggest payday of the year. Like it's my thing, and so I can't walk away from it. It's literally a $25,000 weekend.
That's always around. So it's always around my son's birthday because my son's birthday's the 25th.
And that's a Tracy thing, right?
Yeah,
Tracy's over that.
Tracy.
Oh yeah.
So basically, we're all just poor, and Tracy's killing it.
Tracy and Brian Hawks. So
they're just making money hand over fist.
But man, they do it so humbly, and I've never gotten into the financial side of things with them, but I, as an outsider looking in, I can see that they're succeeding.
Tracy said when he was on the podcast last time that when it comes to making money off wrestling, he doesn't make money off of it, but he never loses money off of it.
That's what a rich person would say.
Well,
yeah, I don't know how that. I mean, we've put on the shows. We know the crowds. Mm-hmm. I've seen their product. There's no way. I mean, and more power to him. I'm not saying that in a bad way, man. I hope he's making millions, but Joker's making money. Get the hell out of here.
But Gary, you and Tracy are very eerily similar. So as far as your entrepreneurship and things you do in your personal lives and then your professional wrestling, and your ability to speak to the masses, so to speak, and get people to listen to what you have to say. You two are very, very similar in a lot of ways. I think you're more similar than different. I mean,
I love Tracy. Like, we talk often. He sent me his books. Like, yes. I'm a huge Tracy fan, and he legit seems, for every bit of asshole I am, he seems like every bit of a nice guy. Like he just seems like a great guy.
Like there's certain people in professional wrestling whom I choose to gravitate towards. Like I don't want to gravitate towards somebody who's only going to bring me down. I want to gravitate toward the people who make me better than what I am now.
And wrestling can be filled with a bunch of old negative people. It's amazing how negative people can be in this industry.
There's more negative people than positive people in professional wrestling.
100%. It's one of the things that draws me to Dylan. I don't know if it's him being around Dallas for so long. He's such a positive guy, and it all sets me quite a bit. And I'm a positive guy. I'm a positive asshole, but Dylan's a positive, nice guy, and so it works out really well.
Yeah, I'm still fresh in the wrestling business, so super fresh with this podcast now. And
get out now.
What's that?
That's my advice to you. If you said you're fresh at it, get out now, run.
Well, he's not that fresh.
I've been in it 3 or 4 years now, consistently. I would say
long enough to decide he's going to stay.
Yeah, I mean, announcing. I love announcing. We've been doing the podcast now. This will be our 7th week. I absolutely love podcasts, and I finally took the step to get into voiceovers. I'm absolutely loving doing the voiceovers. I had someone contact me yesterday, said, "Hey, you think you could do my graphics since you design your own graphics?" So
that's awesome.
I was like,
"Yeah, I'm going to have you do my voiceover for my podcast. I got to get it to you."
Hey, man,
but you're making me use technology. I got to go through Fiverr and all that shit. So
hey, I told you we didn't have to do that, but
Gary's like, screw Fiverr. I'm just going to pay you just to record my stuff.
That's fine.
Yeah, I was just like, man, you just complicated it for me. You just added a step for me, but that's fine.
But no, it's one of those things that I look at. I follow you on social media. I follow Tracy on social media, and it's one of those things that whenever you posted a couple of weeks ago, the riches and the niches, that really it really hit me and stuck with me.
Yes.
One of my shoot things that I do is I also lead worship at a church. So I'm also a musician. For so long I wanted to pursue music in one way, shape, or form as a full-time thing. But the older I get and the more I do it, the more I'm starting to gravitate towards stuff like this. So, it's just one of those things that my brother-in-law is starting to get bigger in the music industry. Never had a desire for it until I gave him his first guitar. And
awesome.
So
I think everybody, and I know we're taking up a lot of time at Gary's, but I think everybody, should have an entrepreneurial spirit, man. I think that's something we talk about in church a lot. We talked about, in many different ways, but man, nobody should want to work for the man.
So I heard a sermon, and when I tell you, I've done everything I can do in my life to find this sermon. I don't remember who the guy was, anything, but I've been down the rabbit trail for hours trying to find this guy, put the dots together who he was. But I heard a guy, I didn't get into church until I was about 18 or 19 years old. And this guy gave 7 reasons why you ought to work for yourself. And they were all biblical reasons. And basically the freedom to be able to serve God as you feel like you need to, instead of being tied down to someone. And it was so impactful in my life that I've never had a job since then. I've always worked for myself, and I've always wanted to go back and find that sermon because I can't remember half the points, but I just remember, I know it sounds so crazy to say something impacted you that you can't remember the details of, but I remember just work for yourself where you can serve God. And I'm not your normal pastor. I get that. I'm foul mouth. I drink bourbon. I am what I am, but it works in my area, and I love Jesus, and I love our crowd, and I love our people. But I do I don't take a salary from the church that I work at. That's my deal with the church. So I moved to Canton when I was 28. I started a church that became one of the fastest growing churches in the country. At 33, I imploded. I had an affair. I lost everything. When we started Action Church, I said, I'll start Action Church, but I'm never taking a salary. And I do all the stuff that I do where I can. It's funny because sometimes people will be like, you don't care about church anymore. You're all about the stuff. I said, no, I do all the other stuff where I can still have Sundays off and volunteer essentially and serve this church, and it gives me that freedom to do that. And that's why I hustle and do what I do, where I can do what I feel called to do in pastoring Action Church.
At what point was it that you said, you know what, event planning, that's my niche, that's my thing?
It just kind of evolved into that. So as I told you, I moved here and I started a church, and it grew to, it was a very large church. Right before I lost it, it was named 17th fastest growing church in America and Outreach Magazine. And we built that church on big days. We met in a movie theater. So every Sunday morning was literally a 53-foot trailer, setting up, tearing down, a team of almost 200 people doing that. So it was a huge event every week. It just kind of became who I was. We built that thing. I literally, I know everyone says that I was probably the first church you ever heard of that dropped Easter eggs from a helicopter. Everyone does it now, but we were the first. We literally incited a riot in our town. They were going to arrest me on a Saturday night for inciting a riot because we had 18,000 people show up to an Easter egg hunt, and I had to have my lawyers call them and tell them that I would turn myself in after our Easter services.
That is amazing.
So I've just always done big events. And so after I lost everything, I was single. I was with my wife, who's my wife at the time now. I was dating her at the time. We went to a big thing called Jeep Fest. And I was walking around, and I didn't do a lot on the weekends when I was pastoring the church because I had services on Saturday. I had services on Sunday. I didn't go to festivals and stuff like that. And I was watching all these people create community, something I was trying to do in the church. They were creating community around their love for Jeeps. And I looked at her and said, I could do this. This is easy. This is so easy compared to church. And I was really into barbecue at the time. And I said, man, we had another pastor in town owned a brewery. And I said, man, I want to start a barbecue and brews festival. The two pastors are going to come together and do it. Let's do it. And it just exploded. 15,000 people came to the first festival. And we've been been going nonstop since then. And during COVID, I kept running events. I was running underground events, and places that were still wanting to run events were bringing me in, and it just grew and grew and grew. And now I'm the event guy in North Georgia. And if you want a large event, you bring me in, and that's just what I do.
Let this be a testament to the fact that for anybody that's listening, if you have any sort of passion, no matter how big or minute it may seem, you have that passion for a reason. Do what you can with it, chase what you can with it, and just take it to the stars. Because
yeah, for me, it's not even events. It's about community. I love to watch people live in community together. And I think I found the church lacking in that area. I still find the church lacking. And we try to force, I don't want to get this into a church thing, but we try to force community through small groups and go hang out with these people you don't know, that you don't have anything in common with, and you do life with them. And that's why it doesn't work in the church world. But when people gather around Jeeps, or they gather around barbecue, or they gather around their love of wrestling, it's amazing to watch community happens. And the church ought to sit back and watch these niche organizations create community, and they might do a better job of actually creating community in their own congregations.
wow,
No, I mean,
that was probably one of the most powerful statements I've ever heard.
it's one of those things that, you know, what you've done is you found a way to build community. You're like you said, you're known as the event guy in North Georgia, but your heart was community the whole time. And the whole time, the way that you've navigated that is because you've been able to find events that draw people in to build more community.
Yeah, and you know it's funny. I have more opportunities for ministry. When I was pastoring a large church, I didn't do ministry.
Yep.
You couldn't get to me to do ministry. You had to go through my assistant, my gatekeeper. I had security on Sunday. I didn't minister you. I got up and I yelled at you on Sunday mornings and preached funny sermons. Now, like, we've done weddings at wrestling shows, barbecue festivals. These people now come to me. I can't. It's funny how many of the wrestlers, when their lives are falling apart, I'm the guy they call. I do more ministry now in the secular world than I ever did in the church world.
Yeah.
And so it's just the avenues that open up for you.
Well, you know, I think it's one of those things that for so long, and I personally am seeing this change, at least in our local church, where for so long people felt they had to have it, quote unquote, have it together, right?
Right.
You know, I'm supposed to have it. I'm supposed to be this way, or, you know, this is what they're expecting of me. And, you know, over time, it's one of those things. Hey guys, hey, we're a place for the broken. You mentioned it earlier. Hey, we're a place for the broken. We're a place for the hurt. We're a place for the sick. We're a place for the homeless. We're a place for the rich.
Yeah. Because I'm hurt and I'm sick and I'm messed up and I'm one of you. I don't know if you guys have those commercials there on your radio. It's the insurance guy. Call Lou. He's on meds too. Do y'all have that guy?
That's awesome.
Do you have that guy on your radio?
No, all we hear is call all nines. George Sink.
George Sink lawyer.
He sells insurance, life insurance for unhealthy people. And his whole thing is call Lou. He's on meds too. And he's letting me know, man, I get it. I'm overweight. I'm with you guys. And that's the way I feel like, man, I'm broken, man. I'm just like you guys. And I'm not up on some pedestal. And what you see is what you get, man. And I'm not saying this is a good thing, but man, I cuss on stage. I'm me on stage. I tell people all the time, you might not like me on Sunday, but you're not going to like me Monday through Saturday either, because I'm the same person all the time. And
transparency, man.
In our area.
People want transparency.
Right. They're sick of fake.
Yep.
Man, that's so powerful.
Well, we got off subject, didn't we?
No, we didn't. No. Because this is your time. So I commend it. I love it. I just love knowing the real you, and I love knowing that who you are today on Wednesday morning is going to be the same Thursday morning and Friday, and especially on Sunday.
Yeah, it's just liberating. I don't have to be anything else. You know, I mean, not that my church would ever do this, but they don't get to hold a salary over my head. You know, I always tell them all the time, if you want to find someone else to take this place, take it, man. I'll be glad to leave. And I'm free up my Sundays. And so it's great. It's great to work for yourself and do events. I don't answer to anybody. I mean, we all answer to somebody, but I do what I want to do. I had a big run-in with my city last year, and I don't do events in my own city anymore because of stipulations they wanted to put on me. And guess what? I was able to walk away from those things. And in the process of walking away, I've doubled how much work I have. So that's just freedom, not to, it's just the freedom. That's the American dream, to be able to do what you want to do and provide for your family. And I provide for my family very well. We live a very good life.
You had a pretty good, so there's two things. You had a pretty sick event that you just did last week before last with the concert.
Gardens of the Jukebox. That was in a town called.
That was so amazing.
Yeah, so it was awesome. It was the first concert they'd ever done there, and it's a smaller town, but it's starting to grow.
Now, I saw something about the Killers. So, are they part of the Guardians of the Jukebox or
the Killers?
I could have sworn I saw some, and this may have been a Guardians of the Jukebox fan page or something. The band The Killers. I thought I saw something about them, but I may have misread.
I love The Killers, so I don't know. Maybe you were drinking that night. I don't know.
Yeah. Cheers to you.
That Crown Apple. Is that Crown Apple you're drinking?
Hey, man. Don't call me out. Don't call me out like that.
Drinking, yes.
Are you just drinking it straight, or are you mixing it with Sprite, or what?
No, it's straight on ice, baby.
I like a little splash of Sprite in it.
Gary, I think you and I would get along really well.
We need to put on this big promotion, this big super show.
We just need to take a drive to Canton.
First, I'm coming to Canton because I want to meet you and shake your hand in person.
You need to come over anytime. Let me know when you guys are coming.
All right. Well, that's
make your stay pleasant.
When's your next show, Gary?
We're actually the second Friday of the month in September because the first Friday is Labor Day.
Second Friday of September. Okay. All right. Yeah. Jot that down, Elliot.
Anytime you guys want to come, let me know. I'll get a hotel room for you guys. You guys stay, and we'll hang out for the day, and then you can drive back the next morning.
I'm all for it.
The other thing I want to add, so we're movie guys as well.
Big movie buffs.
And I saw something that you posted about that looks very interesting. It was some type of secretive movie thing.
Yeah, that's something I've wanted to do for years now. It's called Secret Cinema. It's real huge in England. And it's just all immersive movie show. And so, for example, let's say you do The Greatest Showman. You might, that morning they get a text on where the location is. They show up and there's a circus tent and there's elephants running around and clown. I mean, you create a whole circus environment. Or let's say you show up to an old high school gym and, man, the Guardians of the Jukebox are playing 80s music and it's 80s prom. And then you're showing Footloose. And so, I'm putting a team together now to start. When I tell you this has been something I wanted to do for 5 years, it's been something I wanted to do for 5 years, and I always get sidetracked off of it. But just creating immersive movie experiences, and I think people will lose their mind over it.
It sounds like amazing. Me. Not gonna lie, when I saw it, I was like, "What?"
You need to go check out Secret Cinema on Facebook, the one in England. It's like they're insane. Like, I mean, they'll rent a warehouse out and it looks like you're walking onto the set of Star Wars. And then, there's drinks and food and they show the movie and it's incredible. And so it's just something I'm always looking to diversify, and I'm always looking for those niches that people are into. And I'm looking for stuff that no one else is doing.
Sure.
And that way, because here's what happens. And I don't mean barbecue and brews. Well, now, 7 years ago when I started that, no one was doing festivals in North Georgia. Well, now everyone's doing festivals in North Georgia.
They're trying to.
We're one of many festivals. So I want to move on to the next thing that no one else is doing. And, I always want to be a step ahead of the curve.
Well, that's a gift and a talent, my man.
So,
but, Gary,
you're walking in your calling, Gary. That's all I can say. You're doing, as far as
I'm in a good place in life, man, and it's fun.
Your love for people, your desire to commune. It's I think it's what everybody should strive for. I'm definitely in admiration of you.
Well, I appreciate that. I mean, I've learned all from mistakes. So let's just. It took me a lot. I'm 46. It took me a long time to get here.
So I'll be 36 in September, and it took me 35 years to kind of finally figure out what I may want to do with the rest of my life. But
so you're ahead of the curve. Like I said, I'm 46. So I'm just now figuring it out.
But I think it's important, like for someone like me who's got a 7-year-old and a 3-year-old, and a wife, to pay attention to people like yourself and Tracy, and others to what's that saying? But to pay attention to people like yourself and Tracy, because you're doing something right. And
learn from our mistakes. That way you save yourself some headaches and some heartache along the way.
Well, man,
so your next show would be September 9th is what I'm coming up with, correct?
September 9th.
All right.
Tell
us about it.
This is our anniversary show. So this is kind of our lead-in. We just got out of the Rumble Jack.
Okay.
Rumble Jack kind of is our precursor to our anniversary show. It's called Still Here. And that was kind of my middle finger to all the promoters that said we wouldn't make it a year. And so at our 1-year anniversary show, we called it Still Here, and that's just become our anniversary show. It's War Games every year. It's 2 cages, 2 rings. And so this is kind of the precursor to that. It's the setup show. And right now we've got a thing where Contra from MLW and Brooklyn Creed is taking over as our booker. And they're looking to destroy Southern Honor. So maybe I'll unveil Team Southern Honor at the next show. And everybody's
Creed. So that Cruel. Okay.
So in right now.
Let's just lay this out here. Okay. Whatever you want to call it, Logan, Cruel. So without a doubt is one of the most captivating, invigorating characters in professional wrestling, period.
They just came back to Orangeburg,
bro,
and it was Cruel and Michael Judas.
Michael Judas.
Yeah.
Michael Judas.
Yeah, so Judas wrestles. So Judas is part of our show, and Logan probably has as good as mind for wrestling as anyone. Even the transition from Logan Creed to Cruel was an amazing transition, and because he was very well known as Logan Creed, and I'm proud of him, and I'm proud of what he accomplished, and him and his wife right now have Southern Honor kind of on their back, and they're carrying it into the next season, and this will be an interesting season because actually, the reality is our building is for sale, so we lease our building. And Southern Honor might have 3 more shows. It might have 15 more shows. It might have to go away for 4 or 5 months while we find a new building. So it's an interesting thing, and I think that's translating into every show could be the last show. And that's not a promoting gig. I mean, that's gimmick. That's a shoot, and everyone's appreciating everything. We think we have 4 years left because we learned that another Family Dollar's in our shopping center. And, 20 years ago, apparently they had the greatest lawyers in the world and signed 25-year leases that can't be broke because whoever buys our property is going to bulldoze it and put apartments up. So we think we got 4 years because Family Dollar has 4 years. But the reality is, who knows, money talks and bullshit walks. So someone can come along and make them a crazy offer. We thought we were losing our building 4 months ago, and I didn't know we were going to get to our anniversary show, but seems like all that's leveled out. But right now in this stage, man, Cruel and Brooklyn are carrying us, and they're doing a great job of doing it.
Man, that's unbelievable. Ethan Case is actually the head trainer of the Palmetto Wrestling Academy, which directly feeds into Palmetto Championship Wrestling, and he's always said good things about Logan or Cruel. So definitely, man, that's it's a testament to
your crowd will go nuts over that monster.
Well, it's definitely a topic. let's just say I've had that conversation pretty recently because, again, I'm always watching, I'm always taking in, I'm always looking at what other companies have, and what we could use, right?
Yeah, and him with Brooklyn is it's just a great combo. Brooklyn offsets it, and it makes the gimmick completely work.
Yeah, I'm definitely open to the idea. So I've already pitched the idea. So we'll see where it goes from there.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
my job's easy. Hey man, tell me who to announce.
That's right. That's right.
What's the card? Sweet,
dude. Just a monstrous presence, bro.
So
September 9th. I'm already looking
September
at my
9th.
calendar.
September 9th is the lead in. Then the October show. That's the first week, second week.
The first Friday in October.
First Friday in October. That's your
so
still here. That's the war game style.
Yes. So it'd be Team Contra. I assume against Team Southern Honor. I haven't announced my team yet, so maybe I'll do that this month. We got a couple of surprises with our crowd for that, and should be a good time.
Gary, anything else you need to plug?
Anything you need to drop? Any sort of like exclusivity we get?
I got a huge thing I'm working on right now that's probably game changing. It will probably be my legacy business that I do the rest of my life. But man, I literally have an NDA on it, and so until City Council approves it, I can't talk about it.
Well, how about in the world of Southern Honor? Is there anything that the Lowdown Podcast can get any sort of exclusivity on? If not, we totally understand.
September 9th, I'll be announcing Team Southern Honor. That's about as low down as I can get for you.
September 9th. I'm already looking at my calendar where I'm going to be September 9th. So,
and
come on,
now, are people able to get pre-sale tickets, or is it just day of?
So, we did pre-sale tickets all the way up to COVID.
Okay.
We were one of the stupid idiots that were using brown paper tickets, and our fans lost about $10,000 or $11,000. That was never refunded.
What? I'm not familiar with that. I've never used brown paper tickets, so I'm not familiar with that.
Brown paper tickets was this ticket company, and when COVID happened, they went bankrupt and kept money. And so when we started back, we were so iffy on every show. And so I didn't want to do pre-sale tickets where our fans got screwed again. And then it's just become its thing. People start camping out for tickets. The tickets going to sell 5:00 the night of the show. And it rewards those that are there early to be able to get those front row seats. And so we don't do pre-sale tickets anymore. But if you guys want to come, I'll let you make sure you have good tickets. I know a guy.
I'm looking at my schedule for September 9th, Gary, and I think I can make it work.
Well, you let me know. You know how to get in touch with me, and we will make sure you guys have seats.
Perfect. And I'm game. I've been wanting to get into that area of the country anyway.
And let me know. Seriously, I'll put you guys up in a hotel. We'll have a good time.
Perfect.
Treat.
Let's see what. Oh, last thing. Where can they catch those shows at?
IWTV is where they can catch them online and live. They can catch them at Canton, Georgia, at the Action Building, 261 Marietta Road. But IWTV, you can watch every show we've ever done.
Absolutely, man. Ladies and gentlemen, this is truly an honor, a Southern honor, if you will.
Hey, I see what you did there.
Yeah, I've been waiting for that one. But to be 2-on-1 here with Gary Lamb is absolutely an honor. Again, cheap plug, a Southern honor. But Gary, I don't see you do many podcasts, so to be able to
it goes in streaks. I haven't done any in a while. I've been so busy, and but I had a blast. Anytime you guys want me on, just let me know. It'd be my honor.
But
my Southern.
Hey, yeah, there it is.
That now it's rubbing
Ladies and
off.
gentlemen, there you have it with the owner of Southern Honor Wrestling and many other accolades, the Black Sheep himself, Mr. Gary Lamb.
Thank you guys again.
We appreciate you, sir.
Guys, before we continue on with the show, we like to take a moment to thank Day of Soul Coffee Lab. Guys, I consider myself a coffee connoisseur. I absolutely love coffee, and I found what I believe to be the absolute best coffee out there. With Day Soul Coffee Lab, you can be sure to get coffee that's super smooth and always fresh roasted. Some of the best, if not the best, coffee you'll ever drink. So swing over to their website, daysoulcoffeelab.co, and use promo code LOWDOWN to get 10% off your order. They even have a subscription option where they'll deliver coffee directly to you every month. Guys, it's a no-brainer. If you're going to drink coffee, you might as well make it great coffee. Big shout out to them. And guys, it doesn't take long to get here. I think it normally takes me a couple of days to get my order here, and they're shipping from Birmingham and Alabama. So go give them give him a look. See, I need to freshen up my stock. I'm getting low. Still working on Bert to get me that nitro cold brew as well, but gonna have to take a trip to Birmingham for that. Shane,
Yes.
how you feeling?
Feeling good, brother. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
man. So you had Quake by the Lake this past week.
Absolutely amazing.
I completely looked at that flyer wrong. I thought it said Quack by the Lack. I was like, this doesn't look right. But,
Definitely Quake by the Lake.
Yeah, pretty good show.
I loved it.
I love Sting. Not turning.
It's coming.
No, it's not.
Oh, it's definitely coming.
It's not coming.
It's coming. That's what she said.
Oh God. Well, there's a reason this is explicit, guys.
Well, it's definitely going to have an E on this episode, folks.
Now, I'm ready to see the Malachi Sting showdown. I'm ready to see where that goes. Of course, you still got Mira in the picture too, who is aligned with House of Black now.
Dude, I'm just thinking back to that episode of Quake by the Lake and just that opening coffin match, bro. Like between Brody King and Darby Allin was
It was a masterpiece.
most memorable. Definitely my equation to a show, which is start the show hot, and I think they did that a little bit.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Just absolutely amazing. So
Yeah, it was a good show. You had I tell you, Lionheart, Jericho.
oh, awesome.
It was very, very good to see. He man, Jericho just I know the man's getting older, and I know people have said he had ab implants. And I don't know how much I buy that.
I don't believe that.
Especially with his retort to it. But man, the dude looks good.
He's so intelligent, dude. He's so much quote unquote a ring general. Just his ability to adapt to everybody and anybody is unmatched. Like, I don't think there's anybody that could wrestle anybody on any skill level but Chris Jericho and have it be successful.
Yeah. He
And the odes to the past ever since AEW's become a thing. So his odes to like the Lionheart and the Painmaker and the like his ability to just like turn a switch off and turn another one on and become somebody different.
Yeah, Le Champion, and
it's just amazing, man. Like, I have a tremendous amount of respect for Chris Jericho and his ability to continue to evolve and in some way, shape, or form become better than what he was.
yeah, he and we talked about this with Gary some. Man, I don't see how I definitely consider him the GOAT for sure. Definitely consider him as if not the greatest of all time, one of the greatest of all time. And he's not my personal favorite of all time. That's Sting. I'm a Sting fan. Always have been, always will be.
He's another one that's continued to evolve and change. And
62 years old, man, and he popped out of that when he popped out of that coffin the other night. He was kind of slow popping up.
that's okay. That's okay though. But what matters
like
is,
he
man,
put the icy hot on his knees while he was getting up.
the reaction these people or these talents continue to get out of the crowds or the fans. That's what matters, man. Like, if you're still, I don't care if you're 60, I don't care if you're Sting at 62, 63, Flair at 73. Like, if you continue to get a reaction, man, keep going. I don't care what anybody's got to say. Keep going.
Yeah. No, I agree.
That's the point I'm at now.
And we got so Quake by the Lake was good. Monday Night Raw. I believe.
Can we, before we get into Raw, can we just like say how ecstatic? Obviously, we are. We're biased, but Anthony Henry getting that contract.
Yes.
Man, Anthony Henry, for those who haven't followed Palmetto Championship Wrestling or all the other reputable wrestling companies in the Mid-Atlantic, but Anthony Henry is a staple in independent wrestling, staple to Palmetto Championship Wrestling, a staple to several companies in Georgia. He's from Georgia, PWX in North Carolina, but to finally, and he had his little stint with NXT as I don't remember what he went by with WWE, but it was something crazy.
Asher Hale.
Okay, his little stint as Asher Hale, but that boy is Anthony Henry. He is one half of the Workhorsemen. He is, without a doubt, one of the best, if not, some people say the best professional wrestlers in our area. So to see him finally get what he deserves, what him and his wife deserve and his family, which is a concrete contract to a major company, to see him. So kudos to Anthony Henry. Anthony Henry, thank you so much for everything you've done for myself and my company and all the other companies in the area. So to see you get what you deserve is tremendous.
Yeah, so Raw last night pulled a .53 rating in the 18 to 49 demographic with an average of 1.978 million viewers. That's reported by Brandon Thurston of WrestleNomics. So that's the demographic rating is a tenth of a point lower. A hundredth of a point lower. But they did have a larger viewership last night. So good job to them.
Seems like they're picking up, man.
They've, they fell last week. They were up post SummerSlam show. It's kind of expected. But yeah, since they have it written down as Rey Mysterio celebration, no Vince. 725. It's been 1.9 million or higher since. So
they're picking up momentum, which is great.
It's good for them.
It's great. Well, not even just for them, but for professional wrestling fans,
yeah, for sure.
To see what they're doing and in the midst of turmoil, if you so to speak. Yeah, I'm loving it. So as a wrestling fan, especially with seeing what they're doing with the Drew McIntyre and Kevin Owens segment, I'm stoked. The promos, the pickup of the shackles are coming off, man.
That was a really good.
Walk us through it, Elliot.
Really good promo. So, you had Kevin Owens alluding to Owen Hart.
Yes.
But my favorite part of the, I forget exactly what Kevin Owens said, but I've heard it multiple times. I heard it last night. I've rewatched it, and I've heard it multiple times today. My favorite part, though, was my favorite part was definitely Drew McIntyre's response, which was, whether you call us superstars, talent, or whatever, we're wrestlers in a wrestling ring, so dang it, let's wrestle.
All right, it's the shackles are off. The no words are gone. It is a new day. It is a new regime. Triple H has got his hand all over this. This is awesome.
And
something so small.
And Kevin Owens is come. He's back. He's no longer the silly Kevin Owens we've seen. He's the prize fighter, Kevin Owens. Fight Owens fight. That's who we're seeing again.
This is Kevin Steen.
This is Kevin Steen. This is Kevin Steen / the Kevin Owens you saw in NXT and when he first came from NXT. This is the Kevin Owens that people fell in love with. People hated because of his, how great of heel work he did, but people loved him because of his in-ring work. And you had a heck of a match with them two. Usos and this is something I feel like we see too much of with WWE, just DQs. You know, you have a good match that we need a finish, and you have the Usos interfere, jump on Drew, and you know, if you watched it, you know what I'm talking about. But basically, Kevin Owens looks at Usos and says, "Remember, Roman owes me." So, but yeah, or something along those lines. But overall, pretty good show. You had Rhea Ripley in the Judgment Day, kind of pan. Rhea Ripley attempting to quote unquote pull up on the lockers, similar to John Cena and Edge, with Rey Mysterio in the background back in the day. So if you pay attention, you're starting to see a lot of these little flashbacks and stuff, hints to the past. I enjoy them. But overall, good show. AJ Styles was in the main event against Bobby Lash. No, was it Bobby Lashley? I think so. Yes, AJ Styles and Bobby Lashley, I believe, was in the main event last night. Honestly, I fell asleep. Sounds bad, but I was just dog tired, and I was in the middle of watching, and I just my medicine made me fall asleep. So
I have to read this quote because this is something that really sticks out. Powerful. So obviously we're all big fans of Triple H taking over creative. So this is a quote. Since Triple H is taking over creative, it's a lot harder to pin down one specific thing from the show to highlight. That's because the show formula has changed to a wider focus than a single story taking up a quarter or a third of the runtime. Still, promo battle between McIntyre and Owens, along with McIntyre saying wrestling multiple times, was tremendous and felt like it had an energy that the show has lacked for so terribly long.
Yep.
The two men had a tremendous... Well, let me back up. The two men then had a tremendous television match before the messy ending that protected both. Monday nights have gotten much better in recent weeks, and segments like this are a big reason why. So, dude, kudos, man, to Hunter and all those involved on his team for single-handedly igniting what's been missing for so long. There's a fire, man. And regardless if you watch it now or you don't watch it, or you're starting to dwindle back into it, but the bottom line is people are talking about it, and that's where it starts.
Yeah, and another thing they're talking about is news that came out today where WWE was caught tampering with some of AEW's talent.
Yeah, that's interesting to me. I wonder who that could be.
So no name has been released yet.
I smell Wardlow.
Some people have said Adam Cole. You just said Wardlow. Some people have hinted toward Swerve
because of
because Hit Row
yeah,
came back.
That makes sense. I don't get me. Why would? I mean, it's obviously against contractual obligations. So why would you even do it? I don't understand. Is it a money talk type thing?
What I read was WWE is understood to be trying to tap AEW stars who are under contract. Remember, I think Sean Ross Sapp reported that as well. This can be seen as contract tampering and will not go down well within the AEW legal department. What is good to see for AEW fans is that the star is happy and not in any rush to return to WWE. Per sources, there's been several things that that we've read since that I've read. Rumors that Cody Rhodes is already scouting AEW talent to bring into WWE.
Of course he is. As long as he's treated right. It's a bad news.
You had the Miro seems to be. Excuse me. agree that he had it better in WWE than AEW. And that's what the article said. But when you read further into the article, it was just, he just liked a comment.
People read too deep into social media, man.
So, and that, there could be truth to that, or there could not be. I really don't know. We saw Parker Boudreaux is officially signed now. You got Kenny Omega likely to be returning as the Bucks partner in the trios tag.
I'm going to laugh. I just laughed. But I'm going to laugh if realistically, granted, I think it's Kenny Omega coming back, obviously, especially with the BTE episode that came out. I watched it the other night, and I said it was one of the Jackson brothers taking a phone call, and it was, oh, man, you ready to return? Okay. I think it's going to be Kenny Omega. I'm going to laugh if AEW pulls a complete 180 on this and it's somebody else.
There's been AEW, there's been rumors that Mance Warner might be signing with AEW. Guy from GCW. Man, what else? There's he had, which we alluded to this last week. He had Sammy and Ty getting married. Man, there's just
dude. How about Wrestle Kingdom coming up? And there's reports of AEW stars being involved with Wrestle Kingdom. That in itself is huge because obviously Wrestle Kingdom is the biggest show New Japan does. So just again, it's Dave Meltzer, but he says, "quote I don't know how many but I have in fact been told certain plans for AEW wrestlers on Wrestle Kingdom. AEW has got enough guys that they could lose 5 to 6 guys. Even while it's their top guys, they can still do shows. There are plans for certain AEW talent to be at the Tokyo Dome shows. Yes," end quote. That's exciting, especially when you got guys like Moxley and Jericho and Omega, all these guys with ties and histories in New Japan. I'm excited, dude. I love the Forbidden Door aspect of things being kicked in. I love the AEW New Japan relationship and the mutual trust they have for one another to do right by each side. You best believe I'll be tuning into Wrestle Kingdom.
Yes, I mean, we got House of the Dragon, House of the Dragon is presenting AEW Dynamite tomorrow night.
They do that on purpose, obviously, because of Bryan Danielson. I get it. Everybody always calls it House of the Dragon, but it makes sense.
Well, so here's my take on that. You know who House of the Dragon airs on, right? HBO.
Sure, it could be something big coming.
I think this is something to where HBO and everything is kind of in.
It's coming, dude. So Tony, dude, the whole TV deal, right? That's what we're talking about. Who you're talking about? Tony Khan has something already done, I think, judging by things we've heard and said and read. I think there's a deal already done. It's just waiting for the right opportune time to present it.
Let's hope he filed the proper paperwork.
Yeah.
So, but one of these matches I'm looking forward to, and I kind of begged for this Ring of Honor, is you have Andrade El Idolo, Rush, and Dragon Lee.
Oh Lord, that's amazing. I'm sorry. Keep going.
Versus the Young Bucks and mystery partner, which you've already kind of alluded to. I'm so excited about Los Ingobernables.
Oh man,
listen to that. I'm a Rush mark.
Yeah, the whole team. I am.
Andrade
is on
too.
fire. And we definitely, I think we're on the same page where we think it's Omega, right?
You threw a swerve at.
I did.
No,
I can't remember who I said it was.
You said, "What if it's Switchblade?"
Oh, which it could be, right? Jay White, let's be honest, it would make sense and very, very. It's applicable. It's something we've seen. Obviously, they have a relationship.
Well, and what you could do is with that,
That'd be hilarious.
what you could do with that is you could then run Jay White, Switchblade, and the Young Bucks versus Adam Cole, Bebe,
Please.
and Bobby Fish and Kyle O'Reilly, Undisputed Elite
Please.
versus Bullet Club.
Amen. That sounds like a dream come true.
And then what do you do with Kenny Omega?
Well, he obviously has ties to both.
Dangle him right there in
Yeah.
the
You
main
put him in
event,
the middle.
triple threat.
You put him in the middle like he's torn between the two. That's what I would do. God, I just can't wait to hear that. I hear my battle cry. Oh,
Yeah.
Lord, please.
So we'll see what happens.
Where's this next episode of Dynamite at? Where's it hailing from?
So it is House of the Dragon. Well, before we talk about where it's at, also you have a special guest tomorrow night.
Sorry, I'm getting ahead.
Ricky the Dragon Steamboat will be a special guest timekeeper.
At the House of the Dragon show?
Yep.
Makes so much sense. Where's the Ultimo Dragon? He's the only dragon not involved yet.
Well, yeah, we don't know yet, but
They can bring Steamboat in.
I'm not sure if it's like in New Jersey or in somewhere northeast.
I'm searching for it because that's
For some reason,
important.
I'm thinking that, but I'm not sure. And I only say that because you have FTW champ Hook versus Jersey Shore's Zach Clayton.
Oh my God. See, nobody's perfect.
Yes, true.
Nobody's perfect.
I mean, no arguments here.
Charleston, West Virginia.
Oh yeah, so it's totally not the Northeast.
Well, sorta.
But you also have a 2 out of 3 falls match with Daniel Garcia and Bryan Danielson.
Yes.
Um,
Tony Storm.
You have Thunderstorm or Tony Storm.
Tony Storm versus Kylan King.
Okay.
Bro, one of the most overlooked matches of the card. The Varsity Blondes, which I'm a huge fan of. I love Griff Garrison, obviously, biased with the Carolina thing, but Brian Pillman Jr., who's on absolute fire, versus the Gun Club. Okay, take my money. I wouldn't even need to see anything else.
Well, I think they let the Gun Club go over easy. I really felt they're trying to build the Gun Club, which
Dan Housen.
So it's one of those things that with this trios tournament, I'm kind of let down by it because there's several trios that I'm like, why aren't they in it? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I understand. But it's okay.
Yeah. I mean, it is.
Let's see what they do first.
Yeah, I want to see how they. I definitely want to see how it progresses and everything. But pretty good show. Looks like it'll be on the card. Card looks like it'll be a pretty good show for House of the Dragon. And I think we finally see Daniel Bryan or Bryan Danielson. Excuse me, call me Jim Ross.
Daniel Bryan.
That's Bryan Danielson, Jr. Ruby Riot. That's Ruby Soho, Taz.
Sorry, it makes me giggle.
So just excited to see how the show ends up and everything. Had a good show, pretty good show with Raw. And
these early morning things aren't for you.
No, they're not. But
sorry.
We still haven't seen a Bullet Train. In that new movie, Brad Pitt movie.
Bullet Train. Yeah, wow, I wasn't expecting that. But yeah, Bullet Trains. Dude, there's so many movies I want to see.
Man, it's so like my Thursday nights the past couple
It's been crazy.
weeks
man.
have been pretty busy. So haven't really been able to go to any of these shows like I want. That's okay though. But The Beast with Idris Elba comes out.
Anything with Idris Elba, I think is deserving to be seen.
I watched a pretty good movie today.
What was it?
It's a movie on Netflix with Ryan Gosling.
The new one?
Gray Man.
Yeah, that looks okay. I've heard nothing but good things. I've read nothing but good things. So I love Ryan Gosling.
I tell you, it's just saying.
What?
I was a fan. It was pretty awesome, I must say.
Ryan Gosling.
I
wasn't he in the Notebook?
I don't know. But Captain America, Chris
Evans.
yeah, that guy.
Or not our friend Chris Evans, but
Yeah.
the other one.
Chris Evans, he's in the movie. He's the main antagonist. I say main antagonist, not really. But
well, I mean, anything with Ryan Gosling, I'm gonna have to give it a shot. I mean, I was watching something with Ryan Gosling today. Actually, what the heck was I was watching? With Steve Carell. What's the girl from Easy A? The redhead. She kind of got a lisp. That's gonna bother me. I was literally watching it this morning. Ryan Gosling. Let me think. Steve Carell. Not The Ugly Truth. That's Gerard Butler. Which is a funny movie, too. Let me think. I'm going to have to search this now.
Drew Barrymore?
No. No. The one from Easy A, the redhead. Not. I keep wanting to say Anna Faris, but that's definitely not it. Crazy Stupid Love is the movie I was watching today, but it has Emma Stone in it, which was absolutely hilarious. So that was kind of a, when I put the girls down for nap time, that's the movie I was watching. It was absolutely hilarious. I think Ryan Gosling's super funny.
I definitely enjoyed the show. The movie for sure. It was quite entertaining, I must say. Let's see. We you haven't gotten through it yet, so never mind. Can't go there. Stranger Things.
Don't spoil Stranger Things. I'm through episode finished 3, 4, and 5 of season 3? So obviously we can talk about Stranger Things because it's obviously been out for years, but we're just behind the 8 ball here. But at least what it appears right now, it appears is taking a rather demonic turn.
I mean, the whole thing's been.
Well, I haven't picked up on it like that. So, I don't know. I haven't picked up on demonic tones until now.
I haven't picked that up at all.
Really? Okay, maybe it's just me. The whole possession thing and
it's not possession.
Well, don't spoil it. Remember, I'm a couple episodes behind.
Well, I mean, you picked that up in the first episode of season 3. It's not possession.
Mm.
It's like an antigen.
Yeah, but I don't know. It's just, I don't know. Just the way the characters.
It's like coronavirus.
Oh, so it was planned. Perfect. Just kidding. But no, it just seems like when you look at the characters and I don't know, the pupils dilating, it just reminds you.
Billy.
I love Billy.
Nah, he's a jerk.
Billy's amazing. I'm beginning. I like Hopper and Dustin.
How do you like the guy who's literally the guy who
I don't know
is trying to?
I like the heels, bro. Ugh. I like Heels, which is another great show.
I'm a Murray. I'm a fan of Murray.
Who's Murray?
He's a conspiracy theorist guy.
Oh yeah, I didn't see. I never even knew his name.
Yep. Dusty Buns.
I like so Hopper and Dustin obviously are my two favorites still, but I'm beginning to like I can't even think of his name.
Steve.
Yes, Harrington.
Yep.
He's becoming an absolute favorite of mine. And Jonathan told me I would become a fan of his.
Yep.
Why are you trying to finish my sentences, bro?
Well, I told you that too.
It's Crown Apple. I can still finish my thoughts. Thank you, Gary Lamb, for calling that out, you jerk. You big jerk. But no, Steve Harrington is becoming like he's completely changing my opinion of him. I like it. So
yeah. Ships ahoy.
I'm still stuck a couple episodes behind you, Elliot. I'll catch up.
Yeah, it's good. I think it's only 8 episodes anyway.
Right.
8 or 9 episodes.
I'm only 3 episodes behind you. You haven't started season 4, have you?
No.
Okay.
I've been tempted to.
Oh,
very well made.
Give me a day or two.
But they say like season 4 is like 2-hour episodes. So
I can't wait for because that is rather intriguing to me. How you have an episodic show that's
8 movies,
been an hour, pretty much. 48, 49, 50 minutes, 55 minutes an episode. To you have episodes that are now full length feature films. So I think that's kind of intriguing. I'm interested to see what they do because they're coming out with, I think, a 5th and final episode or season, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know what they're calling it, but I'm excited.
That's Stranger Things 5.
That would make sense.
I guess.
If I was a betting man.
What's funny is like I've noticed these the characters. I've noticed some of them like on social media. You're like on TikToks or Reels or something like that. And it's just funny how I never knew Eleven was a British actress.
See, now you gone done. I never knew such a thing.
I never knew she was British.
Does she have an accent?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Really? Like hello, like that kind of accent?
Oh yeah, it's funny. It's interesting. Like one thing she was doing is like she was having to say what the food was called in American English versus British English, and one thing was a grilled cheese, right?
Mm-hmm.
I forget what they called it in British English, but American English, she says, and she was talking British and stuff. All of a sudden, she completely changed the accent. She's like, "In America, this is called a grilled cheese with tomato soup, and you get it from Panera."
Oh my Lord!
And I died laughing. I was like, "Oh my gosh, that's so funny." She's like, Karen with her Panera.
Somebody took her to Panera Bread.
And,
what's more American than Panera Bread?
And then they got cotton candy, and I remember she's like, and she's like, in England we call this candy floss, which absolutely makes no sense because you can't floss with it.
Oh my Lord, that's her real accent?
Yeah, she's British for sure.
I mean, I would never have known that.
But in America, we call this cotton candy, and it makes a lot more sense because it's cotton candy, like cotton. Yeah, it's pretty. But it was, man, it's just amazing. I'm like, man, that is so cool that they're able to kind of just turn it on, turn it off just like that.
It's like Johnny Depp.
Yeah, Johnny Depp. He's awesome. Where's all the rum going?
I'm a Johnny Depp fan. Huge Johnny Depp fan.
But one thing it appears as well is like the Stranger Things cast, they're
growing fast.
Where they're so like they show one thing they show was 11 becoming an 11-year-old. It's really weird. Like they do this stuff to her face to kind of make the skin tighter and all sorts of stuff. It was just interesting.
See, there's some things I never catch on. But dude, like it's funny from season 1 to season 3, like you can tell because thinking of the COVID situation. Like they're like, oh crap, we need to get the show recorded because these kids are growing too dang fast. You know, so especially I'm bad with character names,
so
but
you got Dustin,
11's love interest there, the boy Mike.
Yeah,
he's growing the quickest out of all of them. They're like, oh crap,
Mike.
We need to record this quick.
You got Mike, you got Will, you got Lucas, you got Dusty.
Toothless is awesome.
Yeah.
I think Toothless is
Apparently all of them can sing really well as well, too.
They can sing?
Yeah.
All right.
So have you ever seen Never Ending Story?
Like Atreyu?
Never Ending Story. Da, da, da.
The movie with Falcor?
You know the movie Never Ending Story?
Well, there's like 3 of them, but
yeah, it's
yes,
never
of course. Atreyu.
Just asking.
Yeah.
Dragon looks so freaking weird, but anyways.
That's Falcor.
I don't care.
It was that's the 80s, bro. That's good stuff.
All right, so
But
just
yes.
All right,
Sorry.
you'll then just wait. That's all I can say.
So there's going to be a killer wolf waiting?
No, but you'll hear it and you'll be like, oh.
Okay.
Oh.
I'm only 3
Because
episodes
you have
behind.
to remember this is based in the 80s.
Correct.
So you may hear a song that one of the people sing.
Dadgummit. Oh, the 80s are amazing, dude. I wish I was born in the 80s.
I was.
Barely.
86.
Oh, well.
Barely.
Well,
Listen, I had my 3rd birthday during Hugo.
oh, touche. I don't know, dude. 80s is absolutely amazing. So I just wish I could raise my kid in the 80s. The music. I love the 80s music.
80s music. Well, 90s is good too. 80s. So
90s country.
So I saw something the other day and it was Vanilla Ice, honestly.
Ice, baby.
And Dez said dum 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 da da dum dum.
Yeah.
Dum 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 dum. But mine said dum 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 da 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 dum. Dum 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 da 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 dum. And we won.
Mm-hmm.
But seriously, so Vanilla Ice made an interesting point.
Vanilla Ice made a point.
So, he's a contractor now, builds houses, and he actually has his own TV show.
No.
So, but he mentioned something that I talked about how the 90s is he said the 90s was the best decade because in the 90s you saw the beginning of everything and you saw the kind of like the end of a lot of stuff as well. And some of that stuff is starting to come back. Like,
Yeah.
he's like my kids think I'm the cool dad because all these clothes and stuff that they're trying to wear, all the music they listen to, this, that, and the other, it's all late 80s and 90s.
I'm bringing out my South Pole pants.
And he's like everything people's trying to do now is the 90s.
So I think
How's that?
don't get me wrong. I think the 90s is the greatest time period, but like the music I think the music belongs to the 80s. I mean, it just depends on really what kind of music you're into.
Yeah, sure.
But like 80s, man, like produce like, the 80s rock and roll, the 80s classic rock, the Michael Jacksons. I mean, that's just when things really took off. But 90s, man, think about all the things we went through in the 90s and like even technological advances, the internet and
Cell phones.
Nintendo 64 was amazing, by the way. I think the 90s is my favorite time period, but the 80s just has my heart for music.
Yeah, for sure. 90s was I'm a 90s fan. But yeah, where was it going with that? I forget where I was going with that. I remember that one thing that Vanilla Ice said, but there was something else I was gonna mention, but oh well, must not have been too important. But
plus his name is Robert Van Winkle.
Hey, Van Winkle.
Hello, Robert. It couldn't have been too important.
No, yeah, I'm excited about season 4. Stranger Things.
Yeah, so give me a couple days. I'll get there. Oh boy.
What else we got? So, football season's fastly approaching. Excited about that.
Oh my God. Somebody actually came out and said Carolina, they're expecting a 10-11 win season. And I said, okay, all right. First of all, I have high expectations for the Gamecocks. Granted, higher than before. You know,
well, you
10 to 11 wins, bro?
Come on. So you had some decent success last year, right?
All right. Yes, but there's a difference between realistic expectations and then far-fetched expectations. This person was on like prime time saying 10 to 11 wins with a beat down in Clemson. Granted, I think as far as on paper, I think Carolina's team they're going to produce is probably the greatest chance to beat Clemson. But dude, don't be going 10, 11 wins. You're talking a top 10 finish. I don't know. That's a little far fetched.
So what you have here is you have Spencer Rattler,
amazing,
from Oklahoma,
which is a big win.
And you also have the tight end that came with him. Both of them, my understanding, have been looking pretty good in camp. At least I know Spencer Rattler has. You have your offense coordinator is back. There was a lot of questions about his system last year, but from what I'm hearing, with Spencer Rattler there now, it's clicking more. Mainly because you have a quarterback who can run the system the way it needs to be run. I hear they're excited about their defense. So, Gamecock country, you're hearing a lot of good things, a lot of excitement. But my question becomes, all right, so if you lose that first game, where's that excitement go?
Right. And
first game of the season is who?
It's Georgia State.
All right, so if you lose...
So here's what I'm looking at with the Gamecock schedule. So it's, all right, 10, 11 wins, right, is what you're predicting. With this person's unrealistic, in my opinion, as a Gamecock fan, unrealistically predicting. But you got Georgia still. You got Georgia. You got Texas A&M, Missouri, at Florida, at Clemson. So those games, looking at the schedule, are going to be close. Not sure wins, definitely more than one loss, possibly. So I don't know. I just think it's really dangerous to go out on that kind of limb and predicting a one-loss season and being serious.
First game of the season is what?
Georgia State at South Carolina.
When?
That is September 3rd.
September 3rd. That's okay. Saturday, September 3rd. Man, that is 2 weeks away.
Isn't it great to think how close we are to college football?
I absolutely love college football season.
For all of you non-Southern listeners, this is
peak season.
This is like the epitome of living down here. This is SEC, ACC country. This is holiday for months for us. This is what we look forward to. This is time when rivalries come alive. And I don't know, we can, no matter what like viewpoint you have in anything to do with anything but college football, this is where we come together. And I look forward to it.
Maybe the week of the Georgia game, maybe we can get, I don't know, maybe Savell Newton or somebody on.
That's September 17th.
The week of the Georgia game?
Yeah. 17th, third week of the year.
What's second game of season 2?
In Arkansas.
Okay. Yeah. Maybe.
In Clinton country.
Let's see if we can see what we can do. Might be a good week to have a former Gamecock on, the recently named all around quarterback of the century for the Gamecocks.
I'm definitely looking forward to that one. Let's get him on.
So
I definitely think we need him sometime prior to opening this season.
You think? Well,
no, we're filled up with
September
or August. So
I was just thinking Georgia week because I know that's a big. It's always a big rivalry week.
That's going to be the first big game, I guess, quote unquote, big game. Definitely. That'd be exciting.
Yeah.
Line them up.
Maybe I can get a Clemson guy on too. We'll see what I can do.
Pull those strings, bro.
I don't have any strings I can pull.
Sure you do.
With Clemson. Hey,
Gary Lamont, bro.
Hey,
Gary Lamont.
Guys, if any of you have any strings you can pull Clemson, let me know. I'd love to get some Clemson players on, or maybe former Clemson players.
Where's CJ Spiller?
I don't know. It's a good question.
Accept my friend request, CJ. I've added you.
Yeah. But man, yeah, we got. There were some pretty good. What's the word I'm looking for? Yeah, NFL preseason football happening.
I hate the preseason. Everybody's already talking their trash, and I'm like, here I am just sitting back, being good old me, and like not saying anything because I'm a Cowboys fan, and everybody always wants to pick on the Cowboys fan, and I haven't said a word, bro, and all these people are antagonizing me. And like, dude, it's the preseason, man. Like somebody was bragging on us losing. We were down, we lose 17-7 the other night or something like that. I was like, oh, Shane, how about your Cowboys? I'm like, bro, we didn't even play a starter. Like, it doesn't matter. Preseason's preseason. Like, if you want to gauge the preseason, talk to me in, like, the fourth week, when we're getting our starters actual playing time. I hate the preseason. Ugh, that's just me. Sorry.
One thing we learned when it comes to Clemson football was Tyler Venables, son of Brent Venables, stayed at Clemson, chose not to follow his dad to Oklahoma. So basically, I'd rather keep it simple and stay and finish out at Clemson than try and follow my dad to.
Much respect, though.
Because Dabo said, "Hey, what you going to do?" And Tyler said, "I was like, I guess I'm going to stay." Kind of told him that, but I didn't really mean it.
Much respect. I got much respect for somebody that sticks to it. Kind of wants to make his own name.
Yeah, he said he
nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, he's Tyler talked to his dad, Brent, about going to Norman, and after taking a couple of days to ponder the situation more thoroughly, Tyler told his father he was just going to stay at Clemson. Said, he was just listening to what I had to say and what I thought, and I kind of explained to him I like simplicity, and he agreed. And there's no need to complicate your life at my age. So, that's what happened with the Tyler Venables and Hunter Johnson has arrived back at Clemson, 6-year quarterback. He left Clemson and went to Northwestern and completed his master's there. Was able to take advantage of the COVID year and has now come back to Clemson. He said, I wasn't sure what the situation looked like here, so it just didn't even come to mind that I could possibly be another quarterback. But here I am. Johnson suffered knee injuries and concussions throughout his career. But I think here in South Carolina, we have definitely hopefully two exciting seasons to look forward to. Clemson had kind of a down year last year. Expectations wise and everything, but I'm excited about what's going to happen this football season.
Yeah, and as far as the Gamecocks go, I definitely think a 9-win season is realistic. I don't want to be over the top. Where people are saying 11-win season. I'm like, bro, come on.
Well, and at the same time, though, you have to look and see, what are we basing our thoughts on a current, like Florida? I don't know how good Florida's going to be, but based on their history, they've been pretty decent, right? But are we basing our thought process on what they've done in the past, or are we looking at kind of what they have now? I mean, let's be real. Under Dan Mullen, they have kind of fallen. There were high expectations, but I can't say that they've reached those expectations. Kentucky, you play Kentucky every year, and did South Carolina end up beating Kentucky last year? I feel like they did. I feel like that was one of those wins that they finally got under their belt. I might be wrong, but it's been several years though that Kentucky has had South Carolina's number, and Kentucky is a team that continues to improve under Stoops, right? So, definitely think it's going to be interesting to see where South Carolina progresses to under
Beamer.
Under Beamer. I couldn't remember.
The big thing is it's just don't set the bar too high too quick. It takes time. It's a process. Under Beamer, we've already seen improvement, right? Nobody can disagree with that. So let the chips fall how they may, and give it time.
Sure.
Obviously we've seen improvement on the recruiting side. Definitely, even more so than the recruiting is the fire in the fan base is what I've seen, which is I think just as important. So it's gonna be an interesting year. I definitely think a winning season's in the cards for the Gamecocks. I think where do they think Clemson's going to be at? They were predicting
right now they're top 5.
I think it's logical, judging by what they've done.
I think preseason they're number 4. I think
so. Yeah, I don't know if Clemson would finish there. Obviously, I honestly hope they do, just because I don't know. I'm one of those fans that were like I'm a fan of college football. I'm a Gamecock fan, but like if the Gamecocks aren't going to be there or be in a certain place, I'm going to pull for the Tigers just because that's just the type of fan I am. But I don't know. It could be an interesting year of college football for sure.
Sure. In other news, you had some primaries today.
Yeah, I think what you would, and I haven't looked yet, but obviously big predictions were, all right, let's go back here. Let's just preface and start with this and just say that, and I hate talking politics so much, but it's just one of those things that kind of like,
politics is a driving force behind pop culture. I mean,
dude, it really is, man. And like people underestimate and they just like, they hear politics and automatically turned off. But in all actuality, dude, this is like what you said, the driving force. This is one of the most important things and heavily debated and discussed, and something that creates most or more arguments than anything. But like, I don't know. I love politics. I love talking politics. I prefer not taking sides just because I like listening to everything. But, dude, Donald, oh my gosh, man. Donald Trump's stronghold on this party is ridiculous. Like, for real. Like, his what do you call it, stranglehold or his grasp, his chokehold. He has like this grip on this party, which is unlike anything I've ever seen in my lifetime.
Yeah.
like nobody's reporting this, but like his importance or his influence of his endorsement is undeniably the most important thing if you're a Republican politician. That's what you want, because if you don't have it, it spells disaster for you. And look at Liz Cheney tonight. Like,
Lost.
yeah, daughter of Dick Cheney, incumbent who's 4 or 5 term politician. One of the people that voted for impeachment now of Donald Trump. He got behind her opponent, and sure enough, she lost. I'd like to see. It was predictions that she was going to lose rather largely, by a large margin, but I didn't see what the final results were. But that's a big deal, man. And just to be able to see what kind of influence he continues to have, even going through what he's going through with the raid of Mar-a-Lago in Florida. He just continues to have such influence. She lost big, dude. Oh my Lord.
60 something to 30.
64 to 31. And what's weird is that's right in line with what polls were calling for. So yeah, I mean, like, I don't know, man. I think it was very dangerous. So if I'm the Democratic Party, I really, really would just, this is me, my opinion, right? If I'm the Democratic Party and I want to win re-election or win election, I don't want to say Donald Trump is now Voldemort to me. He's a name that you shall not be named. Like, don't talk about him. Don't acknowledge him, for the love of God. Like, don't say anything about him.
So here's something that is interesting to watch is right now you have Representative Val Demings, Democrat in Florida, is running for the U.S. Senate, and current polls show her ahead of Marco Rubio.
Right? That's interesting. That's definitely interesting.
When Florida voters were asked about November's midterm Senate race, Demings came out on top against Rubio with 48%, support to Rubio's 44%.
So that's that's in margin of error. Well, at least really close to it. I like Marco Rubio out of Florida. But again, man, like, it just seems people want change. That seems to be the common denominator. People just want something different than what they're used to. You know, it's interesting.
But it also showed 50% saying that DeSantis had their vote over both Fried and Christ, who each received roughly 40% of support from likely voters. So it's looking like DeSantis will still be is still currently shown to be the favorite when it comes to the governor for Florida. But speaking of the Mar-a-Lago raid, we learned something earlier today that although the FBI had requested Trump or Trump's security team or whatever to turn off the security cameras at his Mar-a-Lago home, they did not.
And that's what Eric Trump said. And Eric Trump said they're going to release the footage of the raid. And from a legal perspective, all right, from an FBI perspective and a warrant perspective, if indeed they raided areas, so take everything, opinions of everything of the situation out. From a legal perspective, if they invaded areas which they were not permitted to raid, or that areas that were not permissible to raid, that's that from a legal point. What can you say?
What I guess my question is, at what point is it that we say, okay, there was malicious intent here, or hey, this is a case of someone having a bone to pick with someone else, one person in power, using their power to kind of try and get what they want, because you've seen multiple reports that said Trump and Trump's attorneys, when it came to White House personnel or whatever, were very compliant with doing everything they were told, doing everything they asked. So you then find out they're told, or rumors are they were told, hey, you need to put this type of lock, this type of lock, and this type of lock for wherever you store these documents at.
And supposedly they did it.
And they did it. And then not long after that, it's a very short amount of time from what I saw, suddenly there's a raid.
And then what's weird is it gets weirder by the moment. And folks, we're never going to really know the truth, right? We're going to know what they want us to know from each side. And now we find out that Attorney General Merrick Garland sat on this for 3 weeks before signing it, or before allowing the raid to happen.
Peak time right before midterms.
Something's a little weird. And as a person, my personal self, I try not to be influenced by anything I hear or read, but other than what's available to us, but like going off of what we're able to see, even agendas aside, it's weird.
At what point is it
weird
that we look at our higher governing authorities or policing entities and say, all right, hey, this is moving more toward a police state,
right,
than a place of freedom.
And I think that's why you're seeing the results you're seeing in this primaries. Like you have these people like these Raymore and Flanagan truck drivers ousting New Jersey Senate Democrats for 20 years. I mean, there's a reason you're seeing this, but there's also a reason why you're not seeing these reported on so much, because maybe certain people don't want you to know this.
Yeah.
But like, there's a shift coming. I don't know. There's something about to happen. It's scary what we're going through. People don't even realize it, man, because they just want to like think everything's all hunky dory and perfect. But like, there's things happening, small things happening in like these special elections and these primaries, like that speak volumes to me.
Yeah,
like just watching the results of these, and like, some people might not even be paying attention to these, but there's a shift coming.
I think President Biden signed a bill today that mentioned, then came out and ousted about all the spending that's in the bill. So there's just there's a lot that stuff that gets signed, the larger deficit we get put into they may say there's not a direct correlation, but I feel like the more money we spend as a nation, the higher things are going to be.
That's how it works, bro. Circle of life.
But
the more you make, the more you spend. The more you spend, the more you're gonna have to pay back. I mean, it's just how it goes.
So, but man, anything else, Shane?
Man, nothing I can think of. This is an absolutely unbelievably fun episode. Starting with Gary Lamb.
Yeah.
I think Gary Lamb is probably one of the brightest minds in or out of professional wrestling. I think he's, has a lot to offer, a lot of different people. So just being able to hear him just open his heart and talk about, not just wrestling, but just different facets of life, I think was extremely important.
Sure.
Because I've had a blast, man.
Yeah, and we couldn't finish everything out without talking about Revolution Nutrition. Shane, you've been working with them for some exciting stuff coming up.
Dude, Sean and Victor, absolutely two of the nicest people. They're the owners of Revolution Nutrition in Camden. Definitely my go-to pick-me-up spot. I try to go there every morning. Their loaded teas kind of what gets me through the day, sometimes twice a day. Don't tell my wife. Don't look at the bank account, Jess.
Don't listen to
the Lowdown podcast. But yeah, so anybody that listens to us, definitely head to Revolution Nutrition in Camden. Use the promo code Lowdown. Get you 10% off. Get you a loaded tea. Get you a shake. They're definitely a big time sponsor of the Lowdown podcast, but they're actually endorsing the what's only what? Today's the 16th. We're talking 11 days away.
Yes,
less than 2 weeks away. PCW presents Clash in Camden. They're going to have a special drink menu starting on this coming, I think they start on Mondays for the week. They got a special wrestling themed drink menu, and also $1 from every tea sold that week will go to the Camden Police Department directly. So it's going to be an absolutely thrilling week. So thank you so much for Sean and Victor and Revolution Nutrition for being a sponsor of this podcast, but also being a provider of some of the most delectable drink choices in Camden.
Yeah, so guys, head on over to clashincamden.com to get your tickets for that show. Head on over to Revolution Nutrition, as Shane just mentioned. We appreciate your time. If you haven't already, subscribe to all of our social media channels at the Lowdown Podcast, unless you're on Twitter, and then it's just at Lowdown Podcast. Head on over to ko-fi.com/the Lowdown Podcast as well.
Elliot, do we have any idea who's coming in next week? Who's going to be our next guest?
Next week, guys, next week we have the one and only Tracy Myers returns.
Oh, yeah, version 2.
For part 2.
2.0.
Version 1, baby.
Crown Apple.
So Tracy Myers will be returning with us next week for part 2. We'll discuss some WrestleCade stuff.
That's what I want to focus on, WrestleCade.
Some charity work as well. So, it's going to be an exciting week. Guys, we hope you enjoyed the show. My name is Elliot.
My name is Shane.
And this has been the Lowdown Podcast. And as always, let's keep it popping.